Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. My name is Femke from Fiction on Instagram and Bookish Buddies over on Twitter. And today I am here with my May TBR. So my May TBR is a bit of an amalgamation of lots of different things that I want to do. I'm participating in 2 different readathons, or at least I'm planning TBRs for at least 2. I might participate in more. I'm participating in 2 read-alongs. I am doing 2 buddy reads, and I also had a friend pick my TBR for my Friends Pick My TBR game. So it's a lot, y'all. Anyway, let me just quickly explain what everything is. So the first readathon I'm participating in was created and is hosted by my lovely bestie and partner in crime, Esmay. And that is the DesertAthon, which is a month-long readathon set in May and is aimed at reading desert-vibed books. Now, you don't only have to read desert-vibed books, but in order to win this readathon, you have to read at least 1 desert-vibed book. Now, the DesertAthon this year is based on a board game that Esmay created, which was based on her TBR game. And the ultimate goal is to read Square 62, which is like the center of the board, and to read books for the prompts you get along the way. So for the friend who picked my TBR for this month, I asked Esmay, of course, because we're in this together. Then the second readathon I'm participating in is the 72FrightAthon, which is centered around reading horror books. Again, you don't only have to read horror books, but you have to read at least 1 in order to win the readathon. The 72FrightAthon was created by Jane from the Bookaholic and Danny from Danny Marie Reads. Now, this readathon runs from May 7th until May 9th in your time zone, so you have 3 full days to fulfill the prompts. It is a team-based readathon in which you will join either Jane's team or Danny's team. And in order to fully complete the readathon, you have to read 4 books for the 4 prompts that each team has. Then, I am also participating in a read-along for Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor. So this is the final book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. And we already read the first 2 in March and April. And this is the last month for the read-along. I am a co-host. Gabby from Books and Other Nerd Things created the readathon, and together with Kira from the Book Bella, Sasha from the Wild Sasha, and myself, we are hosting this read-along. Then the next read-along I'm participating in is the Ember and the Ashalong, which is hosted by my bestie Esmay, Jane from the Bookaholic, Sasha from the Wild Sasha, and Steph from Coffee Over Apples. And May is the first month of the read-along, and we'll be reading An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. As for the buddy reads, the first buddy read is for The Assassin's Curse and the Pirate's Wish. And yes, I know the book that I'm holding up says Magic of Blood and Sea, but this is a newly published version. It's a bind-up of both books, but this is the same book, I promise you. But I just have the new edition. But I'm reading this book along with Esmay and Charlotte from Clumsy Charlotte. And we all already read this book, but we just feel it's massively underhyped, so we decided to just hype it up by ourselves, which is why we're reading this. And as it's a desert vibe book, this is the perfect month to read it. And then for the final buddy read is one I'm reading with Jane from the Bookaholic, and this is for the 72FrightAthon. But that is Uzumaki by Junji Ito. Okay, now that we have all that out of the way, let me start with my actual DesertAthon TBR. So I was very undecided about whether I was going to actually plan ahead and do all of my rolls in advance, or whether I was going to roll as I go. And in the end I settled on doing a little bit of both. I did 5 rolls ahead, for which Esmay already picked my books. And then if I manage to finish those 5 books, I will be rolling as I go, and every time I roll and land on a prompt, I will ask Esmay which book I have to read. Esmay has a list of all my unread books. Well, all the books in my physical TBR. And she can just tell me which one I should read for that prompt. So, without further ado, let's get into the rolls.
Alright.
Roll number 1. 6-sided dice.
Number 5. You have the list over there, right?
I have the list over there. Yes.
Number 5.
Number 5 is read a 5-star prediction.
I mean, 5-star predictions are fun.
Yeah, but is it your 5-star prediction or is it my 5-star prediction?
That's a good point.
We'll see. It's fine. Okay, so no skipping, so I'll just write down 5 so we can just know. So alright, so my first roll was 5, which landed me on square 5, and that was to read a book that is a 5-star prediction. And the book Esmay picked for me to read for this prompt is We Free the Stars by Hafsa Faisal. This is the second book in the We Hunt the Flame, or actually Sands of Arabiya duology. And We Hunt the Flame was one of my favorite books of 2019. This is one of my most anticipated releases of this year. Esmay loved this book, so that's honestly basically all very good indicators that I will probably love this book as well. Next roll. 2. That's 7. Which means read a backlist book.
I mean, we'll both have a lot of those.
My last count is 212. But there's already, it's already more because more books came in.
Backlist book should be fine.
Should be fine. Alright, next I rolled 2, landing me on square 7, which was to read a backlist book. And because Esmay was kind for me, she didn't pick too many new books, she combined the stuff I had planned, and she picked The Assassin's Curse for this particular prompt. Now, I may read this entire book, which is essentially 2 books, The Assassin's Curse and The Pirate's Wish by Cassandra Rose Clarke. But yeah, like I already said, this is a reread for me and a buddy read. I really loved this the first time I read it. I think I'll still love this, but who knows, my tastes have changed quite a bit, so we'll see. But anyway, this is a Desert Vibe book, so this is, again, the perfect book to read for this readathon. Roll number 3.
Another 2.
Another 2 means 9. This is not useful because it says go back to 7, which is another backlist book.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine. 9, go back to 7. This is like code language, but it's fine. Then I rolled 2 again, which landed me on number 9, which was go back to 7. So I have to read another backlist book, and again, Esmay was kind for me. And for this prompt, she picked An Ember in the Ashes. Obviously, An Ember in the Ashes was also published, I think it was like 2016? I think, I'm not even sure. It's been out for a number of years at least, and yeah, I really want to read the 4th book in the series, but it's been so long since I read these that I decided this is a great way to go about it. The Ember and the Ashalong came around at the perfect time, so I'll be just joining them in reading all 4 books in the series.
3.
3, okay, that's
10.
3. It's 10. 10 is read a book that is recommended to you. It's like the perfect book. Hey! Then next I rolled 3, landing me on space 10, which was to read a book that was recommended to me. Now, since this TBR is essentially all recommendations because Esmay picked it, literally any book could fit this particular prompt, and Esmay chose Fable by Adrienne Young. Esmay read this just a few weeks ago and she really liked it. Not sure whether she gave it 5 stars, but I definitely think she gave it 4 stars. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, sorry Esmay. But anyway, I'm really happy she put this on my TBR. I've heard amazing things about this. I'm also quite happy because it is relatively small, which, I mean, for readathons is a good idea. Last couple of readathons I did, I put like 800-page books on my TBR, which in hindsight, not my brightest moment, but you know, whatever. But yeah, obviously this is not a Desert Vibe book. I believe it's set in the sea, mostly, at least. But regardless, I am excited for this.
That's a weird
Thank
dice.
you.
We do 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 15.
Go ahead.
Read a book with a strong female protagonist.
I mean, that's most of the book, so that should be fine.
That should be fine. And then for the final roll that we did ahead, I rolled 5, landing me on number 15, which was to read a book with a strong female protagonist. And Esmay picked Markswoman by Rati Mehrotra for this one. I really don't know a lot about this book, I'll be honest with you. I've had this on my shelves for quite a long time. Esmay read it recently and she really loved it. She's really excited for the second one. And yeah, thankfully, again, this is not too big. It's very doable, so I have high hopes that I'll be able to roll a good amount of extra rolls throughout the month. Okay, so those were all of the books I'm planning to read for the DesertAthon. Let's get into the 72FrightAthon TBR next. Okay, so like I said, this is a team-based readathon, and I picked Team Haunted because I felt my books fit those prompts better. And Team Haunted is Jane's team. And the first prompt is to just read a horror book. This is the same prompt across both teams. And the book I chose for this is The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. Now, I don't really know what this is about. It was labeled as horror on Goodreads, so I'm just basing my choice off that. Anyway, I saw like short description on Facebook sometime, and that really intrigued me for this book. So I'm excited to read this. I just hope it's actually horror. But anyway, like I said, well, same as some previous books, this is pretty small, and considering this is, you know, a 3-day readathon, this is probably a smarter choice. Then the next prompt was to read a book with something supernatural in it, and I picked The Other Side of Dark by Sarah Smith. I've had this book on my shelves for literal years. I think it's been close to like a decade. Yeah, it was published in 2011, so I've had this on my shelves for nearly a decade. And this is about a girl who can see ghosts. Well, I think ghosts are pretty supernatural, paranormal at least. And this is also a book that's made it through multiple unhaulings, so I'm really excited to read this, but this is just one of those books I never seem to get to. So I'm super excited to finally have like a good excuse to actually read this. Then the next prompt was to read a book with family secret, or alternatively just like something secret. And I picked Monsters Volume 5, which is War Child for that one. So Monsters follows Maiko, who doesn't really know a lot about her past. One big mystery, lots of secrets going on around her. And yeah, so this definitely counts as a secret in my opinion. It's just all around secrets happening. I'm really excited for this one to see how it's going to continue. And then the final prompt was to read a scary book. Now, I had a bit of trouble with this prompt because I never know when something's going to scare me ahead of time. But I've heard lots of people say that this book is really creepy, so I picked Uzumaki to read for this. Mind you, I didn't check page number, so I thought, oh, manga! Short, can read this. It's not short, it's 600 pages. But it's okay, it's manga. I can probably read this reasonably quickly. But again, I've heard lots of people say that this is pretty creepy, so I'm just hoping I'll find this scary as well. Like I also said, I'll be buddy reading this with Jane from the Bookaholic. And so then the only book so far that hasn't been mentioned on my TBR is Dreams of Gods and Monsters. I wasn't able to fit this into the TBRs, but I am reading this. I'm not going to go into this too much again, you know why I'm reading it, but I just wanted to mention it. I haven't forgotten it. It's still here. Anyway, that was it for my TBR. It's a bit of a mess, but regardless, I hope you liked it. If you did, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and hitting the subscribe button if you want to. You can also hit the bell icon so you'll be notified every single time that either Esmay or I post a video. Comment below if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts were on them. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!